Hi there, Nigel Saunders here. We got a busy show today. We're going to start some new trees, we're going to prune some old trees, and we're going to plant some new pots. It's been almost 2 months since I repotted my Pink Pixie Bougainvillea bonsai. So today we're going to start the video by pruning the tree up here in the bonsai zone. After repotting, it's best to wait till the tree regains its vigor before you do its first pruning. So it's definitely done that. It's got at least 10 pairs of leaves on the new shoots. So the tree is nice and vigorous and healthy so it can be pruned back again. I'm going to start the pruning by pruning back any obvious shoots that are sticking out of the rounded profile of the canopy. So this one, for instance, I'll take it back to right here. And this one can be taken back to here. Once I've got all these wild shoots pruned back, then I'll go in and look at the structure and see how much I can reduce it further. Some at the back here. There's a shoot up top here. One out front here. I've got the tree roughly pruned down to the profile now, so now I'll go in and have a detailed look at all the branches and see where I can reduce it further. I'll just examine one branch at a time. So I'll start with this lowest branch. I can reduce this back to here. I'm doing directional pruning. Pruning back to a leaf that's facing in a direction I want the new branch to grow. I'm going to remove a leaf up here just to let a bit more light into this area. This branch can be pruned back to here. To there. There's a back branch that can be pruned back. And this one could be pruned back to here. I'm going to remove any leaves growing on the inside of the tree here, keeping just the leaves fanning out. That gets more light into the interior of the tree. Some of these shoots on the lower branch are going straight up, so I'll reduce them back to get a bit more horizontal movement to it. You can go right back to here. There's a shoot out here. That branch is getting quite dense here. Take this shoot back a bit. Move some of these leaves facing towards the center of the tree. That gives a little more light to that branch. I've got most of the structure pruned back now and thinned out, but I still have to thin out the upper canopy, removing all the leaves growing in towards the center of the tree and leaving the leaves that are fanning out. It's a little dense up top, so light is having a hard time getting down to the lower structure. I'm going in now and pruning back these leaves that are crossing, trying to open up this upper structure in the canopy to get more light down to the lower branches. You can see how much light now gets to this branch that I removed some of the leaves that were shading it out. You want to balance the foliage so you have about an equal amount of foliage on the lower branches as you do on the apex. The Pink Pixie Bougainvillea is all done now. I've got the foliage balance, so there's just as much on top as there is on the bottom part of the tree, so it'll equal out the vigor. The tree's grown a lot of new roots since the last repotting. You can even see some growing on the surface here. And you can see roots coming out the drainage holes. There's a view showing the roots coming out the drainage holes. I'll get the Pink Pixie Bougainvillea back on the bench now, and we'll go on with our next project. For the next project, I'll be planting seeds from the largest citrus fruit in the world, the Pomelo. I've never tried eating a Pomelo fruit, so this will be a first for me. So I'll start by getting the fruit out of the plastic wrapping. There we go. It does weigh a lot. And then we'll peel it like a grapefruit. Smells good. Got a thick skin. I hope it has seeds inside. Wow. I'm going to try splitting it open now. Wow. It looks like it does have seeds inside here. I can see them right here. Very tiny seeds. There's a shot showing the seeds. You can see them. They're little tiny seeds. I'm going to try a segment of a Pomelo now and see what it tastes like. So here I go. It's quite good. It's really good. It tastes like a cross between a grapefruit I don't know. It's a very mild taste. I checked on the internet to see what size the seeds are supposed to be, and it turns out these are too small. The seeds should be about this big, the size of like an orange or something. So I'm going to have to search around and find a more mature Pomelo fruit that I can get the seeds out of. This is my latest 3D printed pot. It's all painted up and ready for planting. This pot is similar to my other shallow oval pots, except I made this one a little bit deeper. My Acacia Galopini is just growing in a vanilla frosting tub, so I think it's time to get it into a decent pot. I'll start by cutting a piece of drainage screen to go in the bottom of the pot. I'll just cut one big oval. So that's sized to fit in the bottom of the pot nicely. Okay, let's get this tree out of the pot. This tree is commonly known as the monkey thorn. It's the largest acacia that grows in Africa. The mature tree can reach 30 meters in height. So certainly not a small tree. With the tree out of the pot, I'm going to start raking out the roots. seeing what we have. This tree was started from a seed by a club member who visited Africa. The tree has quite a fine fibrous root system. After I've removed all the soil, you can see the root system that I'm left with. That's good, there's no big taproot. So I can spread these roots out and pot up the tree now. I'm going to add a thin layer of bonsai soil to the bottom of the pot now. I'll wet that layer down so it's held in place while I'm planting the tree. I can smell the roots on the acacia. They have a very distinct smell to them. Okay, so I am going to have to prune a few of these roots. They're quite long. You can see how long they go. So I'm going to prune them off. One to here and one here. This one to here. And that's about it. I'll try and spread out the rest of the roots in the pot. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to plant the tree slightly off center, I think, about here. I'll comb out the roots, trying to get them in a nice radial pattern. To about there. That looks good. And then I'll add some soil. And that'll hold the tree in place. And I'll continue planting the tree. Again, I'm going to pile the soil up a little higher than I normally would in a pot, just until the roots get established. I'll get my spoon out and just settle the soil down, tamp it down. That's looking good. I'll make sure all the soil's worked into the roots now. That seems pretty good. And then I'll give the tree a watering. I'm going to add a shallow decorative layer of sand to the top of the soil now. So here I go. You can see as I put the sand on how it changes to a dark color. So it can be a really good indicator of the moisture levels of your soil. If the sand starts going a light color, you know your soil's starting to dry out. I'm going to add a rock on top of the soil just to hold the tree stable in the pot until the roots start to grow and anchor the tree. I'm also going to add just a little bit of moss here and there, just to give it a bit of green on the surface. I think the style and the size and the color of the pot really suit the tree. The brown color of the pot really matches the trunk color almost exactly. It's nice to get another bonsai tree started and underway. So let's go on to the next project. The next project for today will be planting a tree in my Vietnam style bonsai pot. My ficus cutting of a cutting would be a good choice to go in this pot, but it's growing really well and I just repotted it, so I'll have to find another tree. I have a couple of trees here that I think would look good in the pot. I have a Dwarf Schefflera that's producing a lot of aerial roots. It could look quite good in there. And I have my tiger bark ficus, which I think would also look really good in there. Another pair of possible trees I could plant in these pots is my Ginseng Ficus here, or my Ficus religiosa over here. It's a hard decision picking a tree. I think I'll give the trees a prune, and then I'll decide which looks best in the pots. All the trees are healthy, but I noticed this Ficus religiosa has gotten scale insects on the leaves just recently. You can see the scale insects underneath the leaf here, just near the base. There's a bump there. Normally with the scale insects, I scrape all the little bumps off the trees and then spray them down with soap and water. Because this tree has just gotten the scale insects recently, I'm going to prune it back. It needs pruning anyway, and that'll get rid of most of them, and then I'll scrub it with soap and water as a precaution to stop more scale insects developing on the new shoots. You can see I've left the tree grow for quite a while. It's gained a lot of vigor, so now it's time to prune it back. So I'm just going to shorten each branch down to a rounded canopy, and when I'm done pruning, it won't have any leaves, but it'll quickly sprout new leaves. So I'll start with the leader up here, and we'll just take it off right here. All these pieces with the scale insects, I'll just throw them outside in the cold weather, and then hopefully they'll all die. I'll prune it here, and here, and here, here, and here, and here. And there's one up front here, we'll get that too. There, so the tree's pruned back now. I'm going to hold the pot in front of the tree now, just to kind of see what it would look like. The Ficus religiosa looks quite good in the pot. My only concern is that the root spread is a little small for a pot this size. I think I need a tree with a larger root base to kind of justify the size of the pot. The next tree I'm going to prune up is this Dwarf Schefflera. It's growing really vigorously now. You can see some of the trunks are really taking off. The leaves are getting quite large, so it definitely needs pruning back, and then we'll see what structure we have and see what it would look like in one of these pots. I'm going to start my work on this tree by removing all the leaves, defoliating it. The tree's nice and strong, so it'll recover very quickly. Then I can prune the structure back, and I can see how it looks with the pot in front of it. So here I go. I'm just leaving a little bit of the leaf stalk on the tree. I've got a spider in here. I'm going to have to relocate him, I guess. There, he's on this leaf. I'll put him somewhere else in the plant room. He can make a new web. There we go. I'm getting down to the remaining few leaves. I can start to see the structure of the tree now. It's been a while. I've let it grow for quite a long time. I've got all the leaves removed off the tree now. And you can see I've got a large aerial root coming down here from this branch. I've got a lot of new aerial roots starting in here, some from way up here, which is good. It would look good in a larger pot with all these roots hanging down. My next task will be to come in and prune these long shoots shorter. So I'm thinking maybe here, like that. And I've got a vigorous one out the back here. I'm going to prune it to here. And the apex, we'll keep it quite short to here. And we'll prune this one back to here. And we'll take some off here to there. I think that will do it. Maybe just the tip off this one. There. That should do it. I'm going to position the pot in front of the tree now and have a look at it. It's better. It looks, I don't know if you can see that, but having this root come down kind of justifies the size of the pot more. So that's not a bad choice. A third possibility for a tree to go in this pot is my Ginseng Ficus. This tree started out life as just a regular Ginseng Ficus you would buy in a grocery store. Last year I took the saw to the root base and I just cut the roots flat right across, and I repotted it, and it rooted and it's growing really well again. Underneath the soil, all these large ginseng type roots will have radial roots coming out of them, I hope. So we'll see when we go to repot it. I'm going to give this tree the same treatment. I'm going to defoliate it and then prune the structure back. So here I go. Again, defoliation should only be done on a really healthy tree. It's a good way to actually see the structure of the tree by removing all the leaves. You can see what's going on with the branches, but it definitely weakens the tree. I finished defoliating the tree. All the leaves are gone. I can see the structure now, so I can go in and prune the tree. I'm going to imagine a rounded canopy, maybe here. So I'll come in and start pruning away. I've got the structure pruned down in size now. There'll be some further refining to do, but it kind of gives you an idea of what the tree would look like. It's sort of a miniature version of my other ficus fancy. Here's a shot of the two trees side by side. This big tree was started in the exact same way with a ginseng ficus. I sawed the roots off horizontally, planted it, and it's just time and pruning to get it to this stage. This tree is definitely in need of a pruning also, but we'll have to leave that for another day. I'm going to hold the pot up to the tree now to kind of get an idea of what it would look like. Not too bad. Again, if the root base was a little wider, it would look even better in the pot, but it's not a bad choice. My tiger bark ficus here is another good possibility for planting in these pots. So it's also healthy, so I'm going to defoliate it, prune it up, and see what it looks like. So here I go. This tiger bark ficus has smaller leaves than my ginseng ficus, so it might look good in the pot. It'll get the leaf size down, so it'll kind of miniaturize a little better. This tree is the base of an upper part that was air layered off. So this was the stump that was left over. And I've been trying to grow it to look like a tree for many years now. And it's slowly getting there. Looks less like a stump, and it's starting to look more like a tree. I finished defoliating the tree, so now it's time to go in and give it a pruning. Last time I pruned this tree, I cut off the main leader here, and it's grown a lot of new branches all around the top of this stump. The closest branch to the pruning point is this one here. I was hoping to get one more on top, but with a ficus, when you hard prune them, sometimes the results can be quite unpredictable. I'm going to come in and remove that dead stub from the last time I pruned it. So I'll just take it off flush here. Like that. There, that's better. Next, I'm going to come in and start removing branches that aren't in the right places. You can see a lot of branches that are growing towards the viewer, multiple branches growing from one spot. So I'm going to clean up the general structure and then we'll have a look at it. I've got 2 branches growing from this one spot here. So I'm going to remove the thickest one down below here and keep the thinner one. Like that. The upper structure's looking good. I am going to shorten it. Probably down to here. I'll prune these branches shorter. Like that. And this one shorter. I'm going to prune away the branches that are growing on the inside of the curve here. So this one. I'll take off this little one down below here. There's one hanging down here, I'll remove that. There's one kind of crisscrossing that's hanging down too low here, I'll get rid of that. This was the intended front when I planted it and root pruned it almost a year ago. So it's grown really well since then. So I'm just going to examine it very carefully, decide what I'm keeping. I'm going to get rid of this branch here, like that. Just cleaning up that curve here. So I've got 2 branches coming off here, which is okay. I don't need this one. I'm going to get rid of this one here. I have enough branches in that area. Like that. So that's cleaned that area up a lot in the inside of the curve here. I have some branches up top here which I like, but I don't want too many. I've got these 2 here, which I may remove. I'm going to remove at least one of them. I'm going to remove the strongest one here. Like that. So remains of one here I can clean up. We'll prune this one back shorter. Leave these 2 on top for now. I'm going to prune this one back to here. This vertical one, I'm going to come back to. Actually, I'm going to leave it. It may. I'm trying to follow the curves of the trunk. It's quite twisty, but you know, if I develop this, this may become more of a side branch, and these will take over as the main trunks. It's a lot of possibilities. I kind of like these upper branches. I don't want it too twisty of a tree. So I'm going to take off this one here. Like that. I'm going to shorten this one a bit more too. Now, I'm going to take off this one vertical one that's shooting straight up. I'm going to move this one that's growing down on a funny angle. And these are going to be back branches. I've got a lot of multiple branches coming from one spot. I'm going to remove these lower ones and keep the upper ones. Like that. I'm going to prune this one even shorter. I'm going to prune this one off just a bit. And the tip off this one. And I think, oh, one more branch over here. I'm going to take this one off, this little one. So I don't have 3 branches coming from one spot, just 2. Okay, I think that's going to do it. I'm going to hold the pot up to it now, see what it would look like. Yeah, that's not too bad either. Again, if the base was a little bigger, it would fit in the pot better, but it will grow. I've got all 4 of the possible trees pruned up. I've had a look at them, and I've got to pick 2 of the 4 trees to go in my Vietnam style bonsai pots. I'm going to leave my decision until tomorrow morning. It's getting really dark outside, and I think this video is getting quite long, so I'm going to continue this in part 2, where I'll pick 2 trees and pot them in my pots. So I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for watching here in the Bonsai Zone.